Welcome to this custom deep dive into a pretty fascinating stack of medical journals, neurobiology reports, and clinical trials. Our mission today is exploring how your brain actively shields itself from modern overstimulation, both chemical and digital, and how you can actually physically rebuild your neural baseline.
Yeah, that rebuilding part is crucial. People often don't realize they have the power to fix it.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this, because how often do you experience that intense brain fog or digital burnout and just assume, well, I've permanently damaged my brain?
Oh, all the time. I mean, the cognitive drop-off feels so extreme that people panic, but in reality, it's just your brain trying to protect you.
Protect you from what, exactly? I mean, how does feeling foggy help anything?
Well, it comes down to the endocannabinoid system, or the ECS. Think of the ECS as the master thermostat for your inner balance.
Okay, so it regulates things behind the scenes.
Right. And when you flood that system with exogenous cannabinoids like high-potency THC, the brain basically panics. To protect your neurons from being overstimulated to death, it literally pulls its CB1 receptors inside the cell walls to hide.
Wait, it literally pulls them inside?
Literally inside. It's a biological process called downregulation.
So, is this downregulation like blowing a fuse to prevent a house fire? Like you just deliberately shut off power to a room so the wiring doesn't melt?
That is a perfect analogy, yeah. It prevents acute toxicity, but doing that repeatedly creates what researchers call the cannabis paradox.
Because cannabis obviously has FDA-approved therapeutic benefits, right? Like treating severe epilepsy or, chemotherapy, nausea.
Exactly. But chronic use creates this heavy long-term cost. You get that memory fog, disrupted circadian rhythms, and sleep architecture changes because those receptors are forced into constant hiding.
But if the fuse is just blown, we can flip the breaker back on, right?
It takes a little time, but yes, it's a completely reversible defense mechanism. PET scans actually show that within just 48 hours of abstinence, those hidden CB1 receptors start migrating back to the surface.
Well, wow, that fast.
Yeah, and give it about 28 days, and receptor levels generally reach normal again.
Okay, so that covers the chemical side. But a lot of us are dealing with digital overstimulation too. Our scrolling and screen time forcing a similar retreat.
Essentially, yes, but primarily in your dopamine pathways. Constant digital hits cause pleasure response burnout. Your brain just desensitizes itself to survive that endless flood of quick rewards.
Right, the endless doom scrolling. But looking at the notes here, it jumps from digital burnout straight to gut health. How on earth does my stomach fix my dopamine pathways?
I know, it sounds totally wild, but what's fascinating here is how your microbiome directly influences your daily decisions. Healing those neural pathways requires immense biological support, and your gut is basically the factory floor.
So what exactly are we manufacturing down there?
Dopamine, actually. Specific probiotic strains, like Enterococcus faecium, which you find in fermented foods, literally produce dopamine right in the gut.
Wait, and that actually makes it to the brain?
Through the vagus nerve, yeah. It signals your central nervous system to start repairing things. Plus, if you add in omega-3 fatty acids, you're providing the physical building blocks that signal your DNA to upregulate or increase the expression of those CB1 receptors.
So we're eating fermented foods and healthy fats to rebuild the factory. But how do we actively force these receptors out of hiding? Like, what are the daily steps?
First thing, morning light. Getting 10 to 20 minutes of early sunlight straight to your eyes physically triggers your morning cortisol pulse.
Which sets the circadian rhythm, right?
Right, which governs the repair cycles of both your ECS and dopamine systems.
Nice and easy. But the next step in the trials is cold exposure, like immersing in 50 to 60 degree Fahrenheit water. Why subject yourself to something so brutal?
Because the shock of the cold forces your body to produce a massive, sustained 250% surge in dopamine to cope with the stress.
250%, that is huge.
It is, and unlike a cheap digital hit that spikes and crashes in minutes, this cold-induced dopamine stays elevated for hours. It acts as a clean, healthy reset for your pathways.
Wow. Okay, so light, cold water, and what about just plain old exercise?
Movement is critical, specifically aerobic exercise. When you get your heart rate up, your body naturally pumps out circulating anandamide.
And it's our body's built-in cannabinoid, right?
Exactly, your endogenous cannabinoid. It helps activate those newly resurfaced CB1 receptors as they finally emerge.
So the big takeaway for everyone listening is that your brain isn't broken, it's just adapting. Manage the chemical and digital inputs, fix your gut, get some sun, and you can totally reset your cognitive baseline.
Absolutely. And doing that might be more important than ever as we start mapping the sheer complexity of these networks. Researchers are now using RNA barcodes, a technique called connectome-seq.
Connectome-seq. I saw that in the sources. That's mapping exact neural connections in real time, right?
Precisely. They are physically mapping every single biological connection and synapse as they reconstruct at a microscopic level.
Which leads to a pretty wild thought. If we can map and eventually replicate every single one of those biological connections in silicon-like, some AI researchers propose for artificial consciousness. Could a computer network experience the exact same bliss or withdrawal as our biological brains?
That is a profound question.
Definitely something for you to ponder until next time. Keep taking care of that brain of yours.